Coming up on the next episode of the Celsius Pod.
I don't know. I think it's like gambling. As if you just keep doing it, maybe one time it'll go through.
Nickel, I'm explaining heaven to him, and he doesn't get it.
Of course he does.
2 hours later, a policeman is at my front door asking me about the situation. Today is episode 129. 129.
Is it 129?
It's 129, but you interrupted me, so I have to say it again.
129.
Today is episode 129.
So 129, if you combine the 1 and the 9, it becomes 10. And then there's 2 10s, so that's 20.
Which is how old I am.
Which is close to 130, which is Nicola's episode.
Which is my special.
Nicola, why don't you start this episode by giving us a little teaser as to what we're going to be doing next?
I don't even know if it's a teaser. It's probably just a full-on discussion of what's it going to be. So
just tell
let me
us.
set the stage. It's going to be set
61
in Beck's kitchen, and it's going to be a cooking challenge. Now, the challenge of this, I'm still trying to find a good recipe to do, but the challenge is it's going to be something we have to bake. I'm probably going to be some type of cake. But I'm
no
still
recipe. We go in blind.
No. It's funny you say that. What we're doing is blind, deaf, mute challenge. So one of you three is going to be blinded with a blindfold. One of you guys is going to have noise-canceling headphones and going to be deaf. And one person is going to have a mouth gag and they're not going to be able to speak. So you three are going to have to, you guys will figure out who's going to be who. And it's going to be in Beck's kitchen. We're going to kind of rearrange the stuff so Beck doesn't, or I guess no, Beck is probably going to be the blind one. So
no,
he
I'm the blind
everything.
one.
Yeah, Beck is probably the blind one, so he doesn't know where everything
one,
is.
So he doesn't, he can tell us where things are.
Yeah, but he can't, really find any of the stuff himself.
On his own.
But I have to find the recipe. You probably will have one piece of paper that has the recipe on it, and that's it.
I think we do no recipe, we freeball it.
I don't think we do that.
That's too much of a challenge if you combine it.
No.
Otherwise, that would be a different challenge. I could also just do that. Just say no recipe cooking. Who can bake the best cake with no recipe?
That's also just something we could do.
We can do that next time.
That would be episode. That would be 230.
We're calling this a hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil challenge because we are like that, you know.
We're calling it the monkey. Like
We're
the movie that
Hurry
came
Up
out this
Tomorrow.
The monkey movie.
We're not calling it Hurry Up Tomorrow.
What if we
It's
made
gonna be terrible.
What if we made a cake, but we had it decorated with a monkey on it?
Do any of us know how to decorate a cake?
That might make it fun.
I don't think it's that hard.
Okay.
Do you have a turntable, Beck?
That was the most
I don't have a
passive-aggressive
turntable.
okay I've ever heard.
Wait, Nicola, before you decide on something, can you ask Beck what materials he already has?
Oh, I was probably gonna,
you bring your own. You bring your own ingredients.
Well, I didn't know what stuff you have, and then I'll bring everything else.
I have every instrument that a kitchen would need.
No, I mean ingredients.
He's gonna have a pot.
You bring the ingredients.
You bring the ingredients.
Okay, fine. I will bring all the ingredients.
Everyone has to fund their own podcast special. That's the rule.
I will bring all the
rules.
ingredients. Fine, I'll bring all the
and
ingredients.
bring a gift for every person.
I think that's true as well.
I don't think that part's in. I don't think that
part
part's
is very
required.
much true.
I don't think that's required. I'll get you a second Batman food container. How about that?
Okay, yeah, sure. Bring the ingredients in a massive Batman food container.
I'll get you a Robin food container. How about that?
Yeah, great.
So Uri, in this challenge, do you want to be the deaf guy or do you want to be the mute guy?
This is for the Patreon, by the way. Let's not.
I'll be the mute guy.
You want to be the mute guy and I'll be the deaf
I think
guy?
that would work. Me and Aiden having banter.
I will let you know
that
Lego Batman head is worth $13. So
that's terrible.
I guarantee you not. I'm checking eBay. Batman food container.
Lego.
Okay,
Batman.
guys, I found one for $10.99.
Wow.
Oh, this one's $5.
So Nicola, what is the punishment? What happens if we break our
Well, I think you guys aren't going to do it because it would be bad content if you did.
You have to leave the kitchen.
But Nicola, I think you gotta kick every time we make an error, you have to kick us in the balls for every mistake.
Don't think we should do that.
No, I mean it's just I think what happens is no matter what happens at the end, all of us have to eat it. no matter what.
Yeah,
That's
but
true.
you first.
So that incentivizes you guys to cook well, so that you guys don't feed yourself raw food.
I'll carry. Don't worry.
Yeah.
What do you mean you'll carry? It's
You
my
are blind.
kitchen.
You are
Beck,
blind.
you've burned water before.
You have.
That was one time. Stop bringing it up, Nicola.
You also are consistently cooking with gasoline.
How do you burn water?
Lethal amount.
Beck
Amount of
Lyons.
gasoline.
It's Beck Lyons, bro. He always burns his water.
Um.
All right, let's get into what we're watching because, guys, this isn't the food podcast. This is the
What we've
film
been
podcast.
watching.
You know what?
we've been
I'll
watching.
talk about what we've been watching. I guess not me because these three guys all decided to see the Phoenician Scheme.
Okay, but here's
without
the
it.
issue: is that
And
you're in.
so- Well,
Well,
I
you're
know-
in New York right now, and
The
we're in
problem was-
Malta, so you
The
can't
problem
watch
was
it
you
with us.
weren't already in the call with the rest of us.
And so
Yeah,
I'm
we
like,
were
"Oh,
literally at like 10 p.m. being like, hey, we should go to Don Don, but there weren't any Don Don time, so we went to Phoenician Scheme.
but
Yeah.
dude, am I confused? Do I have to go fuck myself? Do I go fuck
No,
myself?
you simply
Do
have
You
to
were
get
asleep.
Uri, if you
You
were in
were
Palo
asleep,
Alto
Uri.
instead of New York,
I
you would
was
have
not
been able to come.
asleep. I can
You
tell you.
were
for-
asleep in New York.
If you
and
were
stuck
in Palo
traffic.
Alto and not in New York, we would have invited you. But you're in New York right now, so
I'm
we couldn't
not-
take you.
I'm sorry we betrayed you,
You
but
betrayed my and I'll never see a movie with you guys.
You know the
again.
funniest thing is that while we were
That'd be
while
so-
we were
that sucks.
while we were
You
getting
know, I
to
guess
the
we'll have to
theater,
take that punishment.
while we were waiting in line to get concessions, we were all talking and like, you know, Uri probably would say something if he was if we about us not bringing him here.
Yeah. Do I go fuck myself? Do I
This
go
guy
fuck myself?
randomly checks his letterbox at 2 a.m. and is like, what the fuck?
And
So what are we watching then to then Evil Eye all together?
Next week or
Next week?
yeah,
Yeah, you don't need to invite me for that, but that's
we could do it Thursday or Friday night.
no scheduling, guys. Come on.
Nah, we
My
can schedule
bad.
because you're not involved.
Anyway,
It's- yeah, exactly.
talk about the Phoenician Scheme, wherever that is.
So
we
basically,
don't know.
I
We don't
know
know
what
what
it
the
is.
Phoenician
so
Scheme
great
is.
So,
news, Uri.
I
There's
understand
barely
it
a
very
plot.
well.
There's
No,
barely
there
a
is
plot.
a plot. You guys just don't
There is-
understand it.
No, there
The
is.
plot, Nicola.
Nicola,
I
Nicola,
will give a full plot synopsis.
there
No,
is
right
a
now.
no full
Nicola.
plot synopsis.
Nicola,
I
there
will
is
give a full film synopsis.
so
I will give a full film synopsis right now.
Guys, before you talk, you know what my favorite part of the Phoenician Scheme is? Maybe the part where they didn't see it without me. But I really liked Benicio del Toro in this movie because I saw the Phoenician Scheme.
I
I watched
Oh.
it. I went to see it by myself.
You know what's
I-
great is he saw it before we saw it, so he
No,
watched
exactly,
it without
yeah.
us.
Yeah.
I saw it yesterday, and I went to Redwood City to go see it, and I saw it by myself in the theater, and it was a pretty good time. But I didn't put it in Letterbox, so I could trick you.
I like it.
You and Aiden just
Alright.
love not logging things on Letterboxd.
I think they just
For-
forget and they
because
play it
it's
off as
awesome.
I was trying to trick you.
no,
so
I
in reality,
specifically
they just
did. I do
forget.
it intentionally.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let me give a
say
plot
what I was
synopsis.
gonna say, please.
Let me give a plot
Um,
synopsis really quickly.
Can we just
So-
kill him? Can we just kill him? Great news, Nicola. There's barely a plot to begin with, so you don't have to explain very much. It is a 2-line plot.
So basically,
You get 2
There's
sentences.
this-
You get 2
no,
sentences.
I'm saying
Two
giving a full
sentence
plot
plot.
synopsis, and you're not stopping me. There's this guy who owns a company and he's really rich, except people keep trying to assassinate him. So now he's trying to see if his daughter is going to be able to be the next heir. So he's explaining so then she finds her and she's like, take all my goods and you will be my daughter. But like, it's a trial period right now to confirm it if you will be actually my heir. So let me explain to you the plan. He says he's trying to build this project where he's trying to make a dam, build a tunnel for a train, and open a canal. But the issue is this stuff is very expensive and he does not have money. As in, he explained that it would cost as much as his entire business, all the money he has now, and more. So he's like, let me talk to all of my cousins and relatives to see if I can get money from them. And the plot of the movie is he goes to each cousin trying to get money. So first, he goes to I'm
So
pretty
we
sure
don't need to. We don't need to go through each of the cousins, but
first
that's
he
the
goes to
general
the
plot.
prince, and the prince is like, "Yo, I need some money," and then the prince is like, "Sure, I'll give you like 5%." So then he goes to and like plus some more, and then he goes to the twins who are who they then play basketball against, and then they get 20% from them, and then they go to then they go to the nightclub, and the nightclub guy is like, "Oh, you took a bullet for me, I'll give you 15%." And then they go to the boat guy, and he says, "You know what, I trust you, and because you trust me, so I'll give you 10%." And then they go to Scarlett Johansson, and she's like, "I'll give you 0% because I hate you." And then they go to, and they're like,
No, but
"Okay,
they
at this
also got
point."
married.
Yeah, but they did get married, and that was like the one thing they got. And then at that point, they're like, "Okay, so everything now relies on Uncle Rhubarb, who Uncle Newbar, who we kind of hate because we think he killed the daughter's real mom, and also is probably the biological dad of the daughter. But he's like, you know what? No, you're getting no money from Uncle Newbar because Uncle Newbar, I hate you." And he hates them. And then he's like, "You know what? Fine, I'll cover everything myself." And then all of a sudden, Uncle Newbar is like, "You know what? I got to tell you something." So then he goes back and he says, "I should have done it myself." And then they start fighting until at the end, Uncle Newbar gets gassed, and then he becomes purple, and then he dies. And then the main guy's like, "You know what? Fine, I don't need that much money. I'll cover everything myself and more." And then he lives life with his daughter in like somewhat poverty. And then also there was another character that I failed to mention, who played by Scott Pilgrim. So you know. Yeah.
I think the accent change was the best part of his characters. He just disheveled his hair and then all of a sudden an American accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quite liked the bits in this movie.
It was a very
I
good
think-
movie. Wes Anderson makes very good movies. It's simple as that.
It was a very bit heavy movie though.
Yeah, like
Yes,
me,
scene by scene it was good, but overall the
Yes.
general plot was
I mean,
weak.
Right, but
Yeah.
before I got into this movie, I did see a review for it that was basically like reviewing most Wes Anderson films. And it says, Wes Anderson films are basically a character standing in one spot, giving an entire spiel of dialogue, and then half the people will say it's a misunderstood masterpiece, and the other half of people will say it's horrible. And
I
that's
would
basically
say
every Wes Anderson film. And it's a underrated masterpiece every time.
this movie was actually pretty fun. I'd say the plot itself was kind of weak, but the individual bits and scenes and kind of like just the characters worked really well. Because I think this just a relationship between the daughter and the father, it kind of,
Yeah.
you realize that they kind of like to grow each other, like to grow
Grow to like each other.
grow to like each other more over the movie, and it kind of happens very subtly where you don't even realize that happening. Even though, because it's kind of weird to imagine that in the Wes Anderson type of frame that a traditional narrative arc plays out, but it does play out traditionally in that way. But it just feels different because it is a Wes Anderson movie, and there's a lot of cool bits. I like all the heaven stuff. I found that cool, and like Bill Murray as God, that was great. A lot of just the lines, like me myself, I feel very safe. You know, those were great, and just
Yeah.
I think, even though it's just like very small, just moving from place to place type of movie, kind of a MacGuffin type of movie. It worked well, but not like I think the best Wes Anderson had to offer.
No, I think this is probably in my top 5 of Wes Anderson films because I've only watched 5 Wes Anderson films.
true.
But I liked it quite a bit. For me, I would say
It was a very
Fantastic
good movie.
Mr. Fox is still by far his best movie.
It
That's
was a
number
very
1
good.
of all time.
It was a very good movie. I just think that, I don't know. At what point does like a Wes Anderson film just be like, okay, we've seen this kind of shot before. Okay, we've seen this kind of acting before. Like you've done this every single time. At what point does it just become like the same sort of films?
It is, I think, a very fair point to bring up with Wes Anderson, because then it's like, is it just a perpetuating like style, or is it just the same story idea?
It's not really evolving, is it?
Yeah. I would like to see like a Wes Anderson that evolves to do something new, because like going from like on a live action to like animation, that's like an evolution he has done. If we can do another similar type of story that changes, but is much different than what we've seen, because like, how does this movie feel really different than to like Asteroid City or Henry Sugar on like Netflix? Like, is it that different at one point at that point? Like, we don't know, but I feel like I feel like there has to be something new, and I feel like that's why it might be getting some lower reviews because it's kind of the same. It's like if you told, I wouldn't say it's ChatGPT, but it's like if you told like an AI make a Wes Anderson movie, you kind of this is what you get.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess it's not even like that hard to replicate, right? It's pretty much just like center the characters in the frame, have
be
very
very specific with your
very
shots.
Very orange.
very just like the most like bland sort of dialogue. Even if they're yelling, it's still like very monotone. I don't know.
All the dialogue's very hyper specific. Like I saw you in the blah 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 blah, and then when we went to the and like characters feel kind of very surreal.
They feel like they feel like anime characters narrating the scenarios. If it was not anime and was just
Humans.
yeah.
Yeah, no, but I would say overall, it I think it left a lot lacking. I think the biggest part of me, because I assume this is probably I haven't seen a lot of Wes Anderson movies, but I assume this is probably a big trait of them is the fact that they're I don't know, this one felt very kind of confusing. I don't know if the other ones feel like that.
No, it was hard to follow at some points.
It felt very sort of like, what's the story? So what exactly is Phoenicia and what is the scheme? And like just understanding this concept, I think really
they were talking too fast, and there was just speaking so quietly, which is part of his style, of course.
obviously.
But like at a certain, it just made it a little bit harder to watch.
Yeah, no, I think that's to its detriment for the movie, definitely, because like I think like something like Isle of Dogs or Fantastic Mr. Fox, like those are more like slower sort of movies, where in this one was like really really fast, and I feel like that wasn't very beneficial, because like I do like the individual characters. I think Michael Cera is great in this movie. I think he was the perfect type of actor for this movie. I really liked him before we find out like who he actually was, because I really enjoyed sort of the fun accent he did.
Yeah.
But he has the perfect type of style for this movie. Benicio del Toro, and I don't know the nun's name. I know she's Kate Winslet's daughter, but all their characters, them as a dynamic worked really well. I just wish it was a better story for their dynamic.
Yeah.
And
I feel like the main thing was that it was a lot of content crammed into a short period of time. That's why it feels so fast, and the story is also so confusing. It's because like I feel like if it was a longer time to let the events play out, it would have been less confusing.
Yeah, because I felt like I didn't really understand why they were building the dam, the tunnel, and the canal. Because like I thought they were all going to come together and going to be like, this is going to be my mega factory to make fentanyl, but they just didn't come together to like make anything special. You know, it was just like, here we need to build a canal here, and this will make me billions of dollars over 150 years. You know?
Yeah. And while I did like these parts, I truly did not understand what the heaven parts were supposed to mean.
Yeah. Well, do you know what else has heaven a lot in it?
I think it's symbolism for his guilty conscience. You know,
That's what I understood it to be as, like the idea
because
of
like he's a greedy billionaire, so the idea is like, oh, and then throughout the time he figures out maybe I'm not a great person, and that's just what allows him to finally decide to give up all his money in the end.
Yeah, because he does become the dishwasher at the end, and that was sort of a nice little poignant moment. But I feel like I needed some more clarity on that narrative front to make it impact more, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, I would say it's a good venture into the theater, definitely worth watching, but maybe some more clarity and like more like a slowing down of sort of the story would have helped it, but yeah.
Well, speaking of heaven, I watched Jojo Part 6. And do you guys know what Part 6 is? It's the last part. And
That's
I did
animated. It's the last animated part.
It's the last animated part, which means I am now officially right now caught up on
Yes.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it's been a long
Uri
journey.
has already left. He is just not caring
He's
about
gone.
listening.
He does not care that I finally finished JoJo. Yeah, let me find the timing. It was December 2022, I think, was when I started, and it took until June 2025. So about 2.5 years.
You see, back here's the really funny part. You started when the Stone Ocean anime started releasing. I started JoJo when the Golden Wind anime ended.
Well, okay, I know all of Stone Ocean was out when I started. I think.
Not in 2022, I don't think. Was it?
All right, well, I am caught up. I thought part 6 was pretty good. I think my ranking is still 2, 4. My rating is 2, 4, 6, 3, 5, 1.
2 being number 1 is insane. I do not agree with that, but I mostly
2 is
agree
pretty
with.
good though.
Well,
2 is good, but
the
like
problem
I think
is I watched like 3 through 6 together, and I watched 1 through 2 together. So I think maybe if I rewatched 2, it might change.
not that Battle Tendency is bad. I quite like Battle Tendency. It's just that I think all the other parts have a little bit more going on. I think it's too short, and I don't like the characters well enough to like carry it.
Okay, well, my problem with the other parts is that they're too long. So I like Battle Tendency.
Bro doesn't want to
shorter.
watch more JoJo.
This is
I
insane.
want the episodes to be more plot focused, because I
Man,
feel like so many of the
Do you-
episodes
do you
are
watch
just
JoJo has
anime?
like no filler at
Do you
all.
watch anime?
you
ever?
say that and then tell me how many fights in part 3 are necessary.
All of them. Yeah, they're supposed to
Literally
show
no.
the point of part 3 is the journey, and each fight is part of the
I
journey.
don't think we need 40 episodes of Journey.
That's like the entire idea. Beck,
That's the
holy-
point of
that's
the show.
Entire
Oh.
point.
All
That's the
right,
entire
all right, Uri,
point of
back
part
me up
3.
here. Uri, back me up here.
He's not
I,
here.
like, I agree that like the villain of the week gets stale in part 3. That's an anime issue, though. Like the fact that part 3 is so long is an anime issue. Part 3 is like the 3rd shortest part, like manga wise. It's only long because Stardust Crusaders is the one with Jotaro, and it's the one with Dio. So they're like, fuck, we got to make it long. But like every part is longer than the last, minus Stone Ocean. Stone Ocean is a little bit shorter than Golden Wind, but every part so far has been longer than the last. That's just an anime thing. The fact that it's extra long, it's not necessarily needed. Did we need 2 episodes dedicated to the sun? Probably not. But like, also the sun is awesome. The sun is one of the best episodes of part 3, and if you call that filler, I don't even know anymore.
I'd like, okay, Nicola, you were like, there's so many. You like, have you ever seen anime? What other anime has just all this random one-off character fights? Name me some. Come on, Nicola.
Dragon Ball, One Piece, My Hero Academia.
This guy
Bleach.
has not seen any of these shows. Because he is
I'm right.
categorically wrong.
Beck, do you know what
Categorically.
villain of the week shonen anime is? It's all that.
Dragon Ball, My Hero, both of those will literally have like fights that are going over like tens of episodes. What I don't like is randomly going from one episode
That's
to
more
the next.
entertaining. That's more entertaining for you.
It is more entertaining because I care about the characters a lot more.
Filler is more entertaining to you than
That's
the actual
not-
story. Beck, it is.
Wait, I just realized the reason Nicholas been stone facing me is because his PC crashed.
Oh my god, I didn't
this
even
guy
realize
is,
that. I
like,
thought
so serious. I thought he was literally just going like
he was just
waiting for me to
doing that.
break.
I thought he was. I didn't even realize he was just. Oh my god, that's really funny. Yeah. Okay. Well. That's
Okay.
Jojo.
Well, Aiden, I would like you to quickly explain something in JoJo for me, because I
Please.
still cannot understand the plan of Part 6.
See, this is why we need to create the Google Slides, me and Nicola, and sit you down and have an intervention and explain every problem and every confusion that you have.
Okay.
So,
well,
what's
can
your
you?
question?
So Poochie's whole thing about how he wants to get to heaven,
Yes.
and the way he gets to heaven
yes.
is by just resetting the universe, and then
Yeah.
everyone knows when they die, and he considers that to be heaven.
So, did you watch JoJo?
I did.
So clearly you fucking didn't, because heaven is not a physical place. Heaven is an idea. Beck, I will send you all.
I thought he was yapping about wanting to go to heaven.
No.
Go to. It
No.
meant he was going to there.
No, heaven is a conceptual idea where people know their own fate. Fate, gravity, heaven, synonymous words in the JoJo universe.
See, that's stupid.
Oh, you're stupid. The
and
idea
confusing.
Okay.
I'm having
I'm
to
back
explain.
my computer.
Nickel, I'm explaining heaven to him,
Yeah.
and he doesn't get it.
Of course he
So
doesn't. Of course
heaven
he
is
doesn't.
gravity, is what I'm hearing.
The idea of heaven is that everyone knows their own fate.
So
and are
basically,
affected by
Beck,
gravity, which is fate. It is an
No.
evolution of part 5, which is an evolution of part 4, which is an evolution of part 3, which is an
Basically-
evolution of part 1.
It's what it's saying is fate is a force like gravity, and it attracts people together, basically. So it's not saying that gravity is fate. They're kind of connected, but it's saying they're basically like the same type of force.
Okay,
It's
because
a
Aiden
force
literally
of
just said
nature.
gravity and heaven are the same thing in the JoJo universe.
Yes,
So
that's
they're
because it
synonymous.
uses gravity in the same way. It uses gravity because space and time is connected, and gravity is the manipulation of space, and therefore then manipulates time, and therefore by manipulating time, it allows the universe to loop. Once everybody knows what their fate is because they have experienced their lives, they therefore lose their free will. They know what their fate is, and therefore they have no more fate, and that's what heaven is. Heaven is that they have now lost free will, basically.
Is that they now are on their destined path.
Okay, literally the reason I'm asking this question is because I saw that video JoJo the Heaven Plan in my recommended. I'm like, wait, they never did really explain what it was.
He didn't
that's
explain
not-
what it was.
Well,
he
not in
does
the
explain
anime.
it.
Not really in the anime as well as they did in the manga. In the
Yeah,
manga,
but
they
he-
did have a full ass page explaining the entire thing.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I think we'll end it there. The end of the 2.5-year JoJo journey, and then the start of the Aiden 3-year journey of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Well, don't forget you're gonna have to watch Steel Ball Run when that starts coming
yeah.
out.
You're not
I will, but now we have
Mhm.
to force Aiden to watch Avatar.
Well, that was
Which
my
one?
GOAT series, Beck. Rewatching JoJo reinstilled the fact that I was like, no, this is my favorite series.
And that's what we're gonna do with Avatar.
So anyway, Beck, what month did you start watching JoJo in again?
December 2022, the week before
December.
Storming came
The
out.
name December, does that mean anything to you?
Yo, Delta Rune.
We're talking about
Okay,
Deltarune.
Maybe we
Sorry.
do. Maybe we let Uri do a single first. Let him get us a couple words in.
Sure.
I guess I'll quickly talk about Sirens, which was this new Netflix TV show.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting thing. Like, Aiden, you know who's in this show? Glenn
Wahlberg.
Howerton.
Oh, from
Sunny.
Dennis.
Yeah,
From
Dennis.
AP Bio.
But he's
from
like
Velma.
he's a rich douche in this one, and but he's not the main character. Essentially, there's it's kind of like very sort of like kind of mystical. There's nothing supernatural, but they always like hint at it. But it's like it's crazy. This season, I thought it was gonna be like 10 episodes because I really thought they were going to expand the story. But when I found out there were only 5 episodes, in this sort of miniseries. I was shocked because
Classic Netflix.
I've never heard of like 5 episodes for just
We're gonna get a limited series that's just 2 30-minute episodes, and it's like, this is a movie. You've just made a movie.
And it's not even like that's not even like a long movie. That's just like a 60 minutes.
Yeah, that is.
But so this is like a 1 hour sort of episode type of show. There's like 5 episodes. There's this like girl who's like, she's a mess, and like she has a father who's like dying of like dementia or Alzheimer's, and she has to take care of him, but she wants help from her sister. But she's like she just came from like being in jail for being drunk, so she visits her sister, and her sister is like this assistant for this really high class like woman who runs galas and shit. But her husband is like Kevin Bacon, and he's like a big like rich like corporate guy who's done a bunch of stuff. But she's the new wife, and there's rumors that she killed his old wife, and like she visits, and then the sister kind of gets embedded with like with her sister and like the lives of these rich people. And Glenn Howerton, well, it's played by Megan Fahey, the sister's taking care of the dad, who we know from Drop or The Unbreakable Boy or The White Lotus season 2,
Yeah.
And then Millie Alcock plays the sister, who is Rhaenyra in season 1 of Game of House of the Dragon, the first 5 episodes. And then we have Julianne Moore for like the rich gala woman, Kevin Bacon, for like her husband, and this guy who's starting to appear in everything. Aiden, the guy from Abbott Elementary who was in Friendship?
Yeah.
He was in this as like the sister who's taking care of the dad. She's like cheating on him. He's cheating on his wife with her, and he's like very pathetic in this movie. In this show, he's like very pathetic. He basically does whatever the sister tells him to do, and it's like a nice, interesting little drama. And they always like kind of hint that there's something mystical because they call it Sirens, which like they allude to that, but I feel like it's more like metaphorical for like the idea of being called to another life. And then they build up dramas. It's a lot of it can be really cringe, and some of the dialogue's like and it's like it's kind of weird, and but it sometimes it does actually get quite captivating as like a kind of like a drama, but sometimes it's a bit much, and they don't really play it out, and they kind of cut it really short. Like I expected this whole sort of drama over 10 episodes, but then they just kind of cut the story pretty like that. I feel like it was pretty abrupt because like she goes from like the sister in their childhood, their mom, the sister's moms, she killed herself and attempted to kill the child, and that's why she kind of like she has a bunch of trauma from that, and they explore it, but they don't really explore it. And then there's beef between her and like the gala woman, and she ultimately ends up with the husband as he kind of divorces the gala woman and like Julianne Moore's character, and they kind of, I just feel like the story could have very much been expanded on, which is something I feel like in general is just kind of annoying that like with these miniseries or Netflix shows that like they have a long story, and like streaming, like there's no need to like reduce it to small amounts. Like if you want to tell the full-fledged story, don't make a season 2, just expand more episodes, which I think was a big problem with like the last seasons of Game of Thrones, where Beck, you can agree that they did not need 6-episode season. They could have had their full 10 episode season.
It definitely felt rushed in a lot of places. They could have just expanded on it a lot more, made it a lot better.
But I just want to talk about that. There was this it was old, albeit it was kind of trash, but it was this show on Amazon Prime called Overcompensating. It's like a teen sort of like drama that's very much aimed for like Gen Z type of girls type of things, I would say. And it's about like it's a very kind of sexual show, but it gets to a level where it's kind of like meta sort of self-humor, and so it's a little different than the rest of the pack, because it's about this it's called Overcompensating, and it's like about this guy who was a jock in high school, but now he's going to college, and he's like realizing he's really gay, and he's trying to manage that. and he like gets a friend, and there's like dramas, but it's a comedy show, and they get like some serious like actual like actors, and they have like a Bowen Yang appear in the show. What was it? Connie Britton, Cal McLaughlin. A lot of like actual actors in the show. It's like kind of weird, but the audio in the show is really strange. There are so many moments in the show where you can tell that they had to ADR because the audio just sounds crazy. It's like really weird when you hear like very obviously dubbed audio. It's crazy.
Like Madam Web levels of dubbing.
It just sounds
We love
really.
Madam Web though.
It just
What
sounds
did I watch
really
recently
weird
that had terrible dubbing? Some I watched.
Hurry Up
recently.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Or Hurry Up Tomorrow did.
But yeah, those are just some things I've been watching. I know I think this has been a Celsius podcast, like, taboo or like thing mystery, because none of us have seen Andor, correct?
No, I started it a couple days ago, but I never really got that far into it.
But for the life of me, and everyone says it's God's gift to Star Wars, but I just can't get through it or something.
My parents watched the entire thing recently. Yeah, me too. I got one episode in, I just could not keep going. I don't know why.
I know
I just cannot bring myself to do it.
They say like the first few episodes are like kind of meh, but it gets really good near the end of season 1, and then season 2 is like amazing, I hear. And like they say like season 2, episode 8 is like God's gift to Star Wars, but for the life of me, I can't move past these first 3 episodes. And I don't know why, because I really wanted to finish it and watch it, because everyone's talking about it like recently when it ended recently. Like, it was amazing, but I just can't, and I really want to get through it, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's all I've been watching, but Aiden, you can continue with what Deltarune?
Yeah, so Deltarune, the sequel, or spiritual
parallel
story to famous indie game Undertale. We've been waiting since 2022 for chapters 3 and 4 to release. And they released, and I think that Deltarune is probably in my like top 20 games now.
I agree.
I think that chapter 1 and 2 were very good and very fun. But the original Undertale was still better. But with the release of chapters 3 and 4, the idea and the plot has changed so dramatically to this new, very dark, very, very like interesting idea that I'm very excited to see move forward. And I think it's really fucking good, basically.
Yeah. I especially love being able to play the first 2 chapters at launch, because I couldn't do that for the first 2.
Yeah.
And just being able to discover a lot of it on my own and kind of just have that year of buildup, so I could like be like, I really want to see what happens here and what happens there, and then seeing all like the analysis of the chapters and everything. It's been great.
One thing that I've really liked is like because me and Beck both started playing it on the first day. We both beat the chapter 3, and then we got lunch together, and we basically had like playground talk. Like when you were a kid and you like were like, I just unlocked Sonic and Super Smash Brothers Brawl. It's like, no way you didn't. Me and Beck were just going back and forth. Was like, here is this secret that I found. Oh, and here's this secret that I found. This guy missed
so much stuff. It was crazy.
And
he murdered a television because he didn't know what to do.
And we went like back and forth.
I know
with,
that
like,
reference.
Things that we had found, and it's like, wow, that's really awesome. I don't know. It was very good. I played it all in one day, just like the main story. There's a lot of lore stuff now, because all the theories before have been basically just thrown in the trash. Everything is wrong. The most popular, the most solid, the most this is going to happen stuff didn't happen, was disproven, and we're basically at square one. Which is like, it's not like a Westworld kind of thing where they like saw like people figured out the theory and then changed it and then it sucked ass. This is like the writing has been so good that it goes in a very natural direction that makes sense and like at the same time is completely not what anyone expected, which makes for like a really exciting story.
I think Westworld's been pretty good. That is one of the shows where I feel like all the twists have been insanely impactful, but they all made a lot of sense.
Wasn't it that they had to rewrite a lot of stuff because people kept figuring it out?
I don't necessarily know the behind the scenes, because I watched it after it was finished airing. But when I was watching it, I do think all of the twists felt very impactful, but also very understandable.
Only I think in season 1. I think in season 2 it lost its legitimacy.
I think in season 4 had a really good one.
But then it got canceled.
Yeah.
And so how
they were going a weird direction with season 5. I don't know what they were doing.
Probably because people guessed the twist and they had to change it.
I think what Westworld's problem is that they got too confusing and none of it made sense.
Yeah.
Because maybe they tried to go in that way. Because
it was really funny because in like the last 2 seasons, it is completely swapped the main the main villain's brain with another character. So it was so confusing.
I think it's if people figure it out, I think that's fine. I think it's a dumb choice to change your thing based on a fan's realization of your material, because then it changes the story into becoming what they want, when it should always be what the writer needs the story to be. Because then you're just not able to create a good story for anyone if you're just doing it for people's expectations.
That's true. The problem with that though is like if there's something that people are like so excited for and that they think is going to happen that they've basically just convinced themselves that it's going to happen, when it doesn't happen, you're going to let people down.
That is true. It's like sort of an expectation. I don't mean to bring this back to Game of Thrones for some reason, but people had a big expectation of having this final fight with the White Walkers, and they just kind of blow it off for just very quickly. When people have expected this thing, especially when you build it up for such a long time, you need this thing. But if you were just not treating it like that, it kind of makes the story seem futile.
Yeah, we've been waiting literally since 2022, since like the last release of anything, and we've just been
we've been waiting since like
2021,
end of 2023. You know,
we've still been picking at scraps. We've had a long time to like come up with stuff, and all of that's been thrown away, and that's not a bad thing. The fact that this is all like everything has changed is not a bad thing because of the direction it goes in.
Yep, and we get Chapter 5, 2026.
Yeah, to be
honest, that was the biggest twist of the game for me. That we actually got a release date
for Chapter 5. Yeah.
All right.
It was very, very enjoyable game. I would recommend it to people. I like how I just like it all. I'll be replaying it many a times.
Yeah, he still hasn't seen all of the stuff because he wants to do multiple routes, right?
Yeah. I'll probably
you haven't found the egg room in Chapter 4?
I haven't found either egg room. I've heard that they're both complicated.
They are both insanely complicated, and you should 100% look up a guide for them.
Yeah, but I'll do it when you're on call with me so we can do it together.
All right.
Yeah.
Now I will do a single.
Okay.
All right. My single, my one film that I watched by myself.
You have 3 films that you watched by yourself.
No, because I talked about those last week.
No, you didn't.
I didn't?
No, you didn't. Because on the day you watched Chasing June was the day that Deltarune came out, and we didn't do a pod then. You did not talk about either of those 2 movies.
Okay, I will talk about Chasing June then. All right, guys. Now, you might be wondering, what is Chasing June? And
I'm wondering that.
it's
Chasing
great
June.
because I am officially one of only 10 people on Letterboxd that has seen this film. Now,
How?
the
What is
story behind this was I was randomly on Letterboxd 11 p.m. at night, and I was looking for 2025 releases on Prime Video. And you want to know what I found? I found Chasing June. The only reviews are from people who worked on the film and then me.
Wow.
But it is a 2025 release, released on Prime Video.
You know anybody can release a movie on Prime Video?
I did not know that.
And anyone can make a film that qualifies for the Celsius Pod 2025 list. You know?
True.
If you make one, send it to us. We can add it to the challenge.
Yeah, we will watch your films.
We will watch
review
all your
them.
terrible films as long as they're released in 2025.
And we will give
And
valid
on Letterboxd.
criticism. We will be
We
nice.
will.
We will tell you what is good and what is
Me
bad.
and Aiden will be nice. Uri and Nicola will be mean.
I will
We'll
be
do good cop, bad cop.
I will be-
I will be
Nicola will
100%
be-
honest.
Nicola will be the Simon Cowell.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll be 100% honest. I will not put any sugarcoating.
Yeah. But tell us, what's your thoughts on Chasing June?
First of all, the title sucks.
Do
Okay.
they not chase
so-
June?
They did
Do they
not.
chase July? Do they chase
They don't.
August?
So, let me tell you what the plot of Chasing June is. There's this guy, and his name's Liam, and there's this girl, and she's named Dakota, and they meet each other, and they fall in love. But
Wow.
Dakota's parents are divorced, and
Classic.
she cheated in class, so she wants to run away. And
Classic.
Liam, he's really good at writing. Like, he had this crazy story about a fairy in a tower, and his English teacher loves him. But he feels like, I don't know what I'm doing. I want to be a writer. So they decide to run away together. And they have this great plan where they randomly mentioned in one scene these people called the June Kids that,
So that's
Um,
the Chasing June.
yeah, the June Kids that live in Dakota or something. So they need to get there. And that's the first and the last time they are mentioned. So they go and they hike off into the forest and they figure out their problems. They get caught by their parents. And then the girl has to move back in with her mom, but she's remarried and she hates her mom and she doesn't want to go to college. But then 3 months later, she likes her mom. She wants to go to college. So they have to break up. And he
Why does
bikes
she like
all
her
the
mom
way.
again?
Yeah,
Why-
because the mom helped her out when she moved in.
How long is
And
this
then-
movie?
An hour and 30 minutes. And then we have a 25-year time jump.
Your favorite thing, Beck?
Yeah.
Classic.
And
That's
now,
why he loves
guess
this
what?
movie.
He's an adult and he wrote a children's book based on the story he wrote in class. And then she really liked photography. And then she became a professional photographer. And they meet each other and they're like, wow, we really did go chasing June together. Roll
That's so
credits.
true.
Ugh. And
But yeah, it is very much a student film that's a teen drama.
so it
that is-
looks like. Does it look like a student film? What's the cinematography like?
The cinematography looks good. I feel like if the acting wasn't very stiff, I probably wouldn't have been able to tell it's a student film. But you can very much tell that the acting was very stiff. And I don't want to be mean because again, this is very much a student film. But
Hey,
yeah.
we were chasing June together.
Yep, it's true.
Okay, well, that was what I watched specifically for the challenge, and that's probably the most obscure one we have on the list right now.
What's
Yeah.
Odessa or what? Or Della?
Oh,
what?
did I not talk about Odessa?
No, I just said that. You weren't listening.
Oh.
This is why
I thought
you
were
don't
talking about
understand
Chasing
things.
June. Oh,
This is why you don't understand things because when you don't listen, you don't listen to
I
what
thought
I
you
have to
said
say.
those two as in Chasing June and Tropic Thunder.
No, I
But no.
no, I did not mean. Oh my god, we have to.
Okay. All right, let's talk about Odessa. Again, looking at 2025 films on Letterboxd, and I'm like, this one's got a fire poster. I mean, look at this shit. It's got guitar. It's got neon. It's got lightning.
But
Now,
it has Sadie Sink, so that immediately deters me from it.
Why, you don't like Sadie Sink?
Not really.
I think people like really hype her up to be like the next amazing actress of our times. Like she's like a bunch of like becoming like a very big star, and she's like done Broadway recently, I think, a play. But like I could not see the appeal that much.
I think I think her acting is hella annoying, especially in like Stranger Things.
Well, yeah, maybe
I never liked Max. I barely liked her in season 2, and then she became like one of the most important characters. And it's like, I don't like you very much.
But Aiden, are you not running up that hill?
That song's not very good.
okay. Let's talk about Odessa. Now, Odessa is a rock opera, so immediately it's cool. So, we have this prophecy of the seventh son, and the seventh son will strike a chord with the world, and they'll all become free. Now, there's this girl, Odessa, and her great-grandfather, 6 generations above, was at a tree, and the tree got struck by lightning and set on fire. And then a woman with no eyes came and said, "Your 7th son will save the world." And Odessa is the 7th son, even though she's a girl. And then of that tree that was struck by lightning...
Can I imagine that scene in the movie? Your 7th son, but I'm a girl.
He says, even though you are a girl, you are the 7th son.
That's really funny.
So, all that happens.
It's a very subtle trans allegory.
The tree gets struck by lightning, and then they make a badass guitar of it with 6 strings. And then eventually, Odessa's mom dies, so she has to go on a journey. So she goes on the journey, and she takes her mom's ring, and she goes to the big city, and the big city is ruled by this evil guy who has a lot of TVs, and he has this evil talk show where he kills people who disagree with him. And then Odessa is like,
most people
I need to make some money. So she plays her guitar, and she falls in love with this guy. And she and this guy, they're in love, but there's this evil woman who works for the bad guy, and she like raised the guy and kind of like owns him, but then they kill her. But since they killed her, the guy gets kidnapped. So what Odessa's got to do, she got to go compete on The Voice, which is basically the challenge game show. So she goes up there.
Actual
with her
voice,
guitar.
like the actual show, The Voice.
No, not the actual show, The Voice. Knock off The Voice with the evil guy and his wife.
Okay, so Beck, though, The Voice doesn't do guitar. That's America's Got Talent.
America's Got Talent.
The Voice, Beck, the show called The Voice. What do you think that show is?
I think they sing while playing guitar.
They don't play guitar, actually. They only sing.
How do they do the background track, then?
With a fucking background track?
But what instruments are in the background track?
The instruments don't matter because they're not playing them.
I think they do.
They aren't playing them.
She goes on stage and she's like, I will play for his freedom. But then the guy's like, well, what are you going to do now? And then cuts all 6 of the strings. And it's like, no, my one's broken. But then she takes off the ring, which turns out was the 7th guitar string for the 7th son.
What?
And then connects it on the guitar, strikes the chord, and then light booms out of it, and then plays this giant song that everyone sees. And then she wins. And she says, I want my boyfriend back. But no, he already killed the boyfriend. And he laughs at her. But then Odessa is like, fuck it. And then runs directly into the nuclear reactor with the guitar and strikes the chord and then blows up the island with all the plasma on it. and then everyone turns off the TV, and then the final scene is like out of The Last Jedi because we have the next generation of Odessas doing
So
guitar.
that's why you loved it.
Mhm.
Because it was like from The Last Jedi.
Obviously, this is getting really bad reviews, but I think it was pretty hype. It was just kind of one of those weird ass bonker movies that I just had a good time with.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
good.
just like you can zone out and just kind of like nonstop action.
Yeah. Non-stop action, good music, very much like neon cyberpunk cinematography or like lighting setting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked it. And then next is Tropic Thunder. I watched this at a movie party with some friends. I'd started it before, but this time was the time I fully watched it, and I really liked it. It very much felt like a 2000s movie, and I feel like we haven't had a lot of 2000s movies since the 2000s, you know?
I wonder why, Beck.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like we need more of those.
I mean, like, what do you mean by that? Like comedy movies that aren't very serious?
Like movies that came out in the 2000s. Why don't we make
Yeah.
more movies that came out in the early
Let's
2000s?
make more movies that came out in 2000.
Yeah.
No, they did
But yeah,
make a
very
bunch of
much
those.
just like the random like satirical, a bunch of just random actors just messing around the entire time. I think it's very much captures the era of movies back then.
Yeah, no, it's Ben Stiller directed it, and he starred.
Yeah, no, it was crazy to me to think this guy is the one who made Succession or made Severance. Yeah.
But no, it's just a great movie. Robert Downey Jr. is great in it. And it's like you can't really make that type of movie like with how Robert Downey Jr. did the Blackface. You couldn't do that now.
I think the funniest parts were when there was the second black guy on the team, and he was like, "You people, what do you mean, you people?" And they were like, "What do you mean, you people?"
Yeah.
Like, they have someone literally.
That was the entire
always calling
dynamic.
him out
That was the
being
best
like,
part.
"What the fuck are you doing, bro?"
Like, we don't act like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I definitely think there was an era in the two. There's a very much like a timeline of like in the 20s, there was a lot of blackface being used, and then it dipped down, and then in the 2000s, they're like, guys, it'd be really funny if we had a bunch of actors do blackface, but we
Guys,
still made
what
fun
if
of it.
we brought back blackface?
So they did. So Nicola, they tried to do that in It's Always Sunny, and every episode of It's Always Sunny that is banned has blackface in it.
So many just random like 2000s TV comedies just have a blackface episode, and it's just banned.
There's
Like I know Community has one.
Yeah, Community.
Always Sunny.
Mad Men had a blackface scene that they had to put like they didn't get rid of it, but before the episode started, it was like, this represents a different era of how we used to do television. Blah 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 blah.
I think it's better to do that than to cut it. Like just make sure you have, because they do that with the old Disney movies now on Disney Plus, right?
They don't do it anymore.
Oh, they removed it?
Yeah.
There is an episode of Family Guy that was banned, not for blackface, but for it had an abortion in it. And that's one of the banned Family Guy. It's interesting what gets banned sometimes. There was a Michael Jackson episode of The Simpsons that got banned.
Interesting.
But I think it came back. It's interesting what makes an episode of TV banned, because like I think South Park, they showed a representation of Muhammad, and they were like,
yeah,
you can't
Muhammad is like the really big one that you can't show. I remember I watched a thing where it was the Jojo Part 3 OVA got in trouble for it was having Dio read the Quran in it, and it got banned in a lot of countries because of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's interesting what makes something banned, like legitimately or not. Yeah.
I mean, for books, it's just if they have any sort of queer anything in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
At
for
least like
movies,
in schools, yeah. It is so crazy to me that like you can have anything in a book, and like anyone can get it, but like if you have like a movie or something, that's when it gets restricted, you know?
Yeah. I think there's something about visual rather than just purely words.
Yeah, no, I feel like visual because you really it's kind of like you're seeing it actual, like it's like more like real, and like where reading is kind of like you can at least justify in a way, but like visual you actually get to see the actual sort of material, so it's much easier to offend. But
Yeah.
but you know, it's definitely I want to read more about it because like it's definitely interesting seeing what band episodes are. Because Aiden, have you seen the band Blackface episodes or no?
It's Always Sunny, yes, and they're so fucking funny. So
The community one is one of the best episodes. I cannot believe it's removed from so many things because of the blackface.
Philadelphia.
Because I would rather just
yeah.
them cut that scene from the episode than the whole episode.
Yeah, because it's literally just the opening, like 3 minutes have blackface, and then the rest of it is peak community.
So let me go into the 5 band episodes of It's Always Sunny because some of these are like really good. So let me figure out let me go in order. So the first one is in the 3rd episode of season 4, America's Next Top Patty's Billboard Model Contest. Now this episode is banned because it has Dee's character Martina Martinez.
I can already hear a problem with that.
So Martina Martinez is the blackface. That's why that's removed. This episode is good. It's very funny. There's some very funny scenes in this episode. But it's not like my favorite episode. But it's very good. The next episode that is banned is I think it's The Gang Recycles Their Trash. I really like this episode because the idea of the episode is like we're gonna do an idea we did before, but with a fuck ton of callbacks to a fuck ton of episodes. It starts off with with the same kind of structure as like the gang finds a dead guy and the gang finds a dumpster baby. He like Mac tosses his drink into the garbage like he does in that episode, and they do something like from Who Got Dee Pregnant, and it's an idea from they have like a bit from The Gang Runs for Office, or they do they do exactly the same thing as they do in the Gas Crisis episode, and they just like evolve everything to like an entirely new level. And then Martina Martinez shows up and says the N-word, and that's why that episode is banned. But that's one of my like top 10 episodes is The Gang Recycles Their Trash. It's just really, really funny. The next episode is which one is it? Shaping America's Youth. Oh, this was before. Sorry. Shaping America's Youth was before. Dee works at a school as like a teacher. And what Mac and Dennis do is they make Lethal Weapon 5. And Mac plays Murtaugh, and Mac very insistently says that they need to do blackface for it. Yeah.
And so I can already see that, being an issue.
I'll just send a very good. I don't know if you want to put this one on the screen.
We're not putting this on screen, unfortunately.
There it is.
Oh.
Yeah. Wait.
Oh. This
is bad. That's bad.
Oh, then the next band episode is D-Day, and guess what? It's Martina Martinez strikes back.
Returning character. They're like, guys, we really need to do it a second time.
And guess what? Last band episode, the gang makes Lethal Weapon 6. You'll never believe what this episode's about. It's about shows getting banned for blackface. The entire episode is meta commentary on the fact that their episodes keep getting banned. By far is just like, stop doing it, guys. Just stop. It's not gonna happen. You can do almost anything, but this is the one thing you can't do.
I don't know. I think it's like gambling. As if you just keep doing it, maybe one time it'll go through.
Anyway, it's insane. It's very funny.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it sounds, and they sound like really funny, but they're gonna get banned no matter what. Which I think these were probably only like episodes they probably did in their first early seasons. I assume. I don't assume.
It was before, yeah, all of them are before season 10. I think like the gang makes Lethal Weapon 6, the last one that got banned, the one that was specifically made because their shit kept getting banned.
The one that was
I don't
made
know.
to literally get banned in a way. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty.
This was
So
an
last
interesting
week's episode.
Oh, last week.
Yeah, last week's episode was kind of miss, I think. I think first episode hit really good. Second episode miss, still okay. This episode I think steps back up. I think this was a very creative episode.
Up, but I'm going to be honest, Aiden, I don't think it steps back up to like an insane amount. I thought it was going to be better than it was.
No, definitely not.
I thought it was going to be better than what it was when I first started the episode.
Yeah.
So
I still very much enjoyed it. I think they did a really good job with the idea.
But there were some things I think I found lacking. The fact that, okay, so this episode is an interesting episode. It's like we got to return to the idea of the Citadel. And I wonder if this is going to be our one sort of plot-heavy episode for the season.
It's not even that plot-heavy.
But like,
it's very self-contained.
Yeah, but just referring to like the continuity of the world of Rick and Morty. I really hope it's not. I really hope we get like something more later down the season. But if it is, that would be fine. Essentially, Rick and Morty, they're going through the wreckage of the Citadel, and then they visit like this like planet where like a bunch of cloned Mortys and like one Rick who's like a farmer lives, and he's like, get off my land, and like he does that, and then we follow him. And as he goes into like a Morty town, and then he gets like attacked by a bunch of Ricks, and they steal Mortys because they bring it up to some like big Texan like rich kind of KFC type of fat Rick who's like cloning Mortys to like do some like experiments on them, and they want to get portal fluid,
Yeah.
And so we follow him, and he gets killed, but then he obviously doesn't die. And we follow him and two other Mortys trying to save the other Mortys. And it's sort of like kind of like a Western type of Rick and Morty episode, very much focusing on the Citadel. It's like a very contained story. But Aiden, I think what was my problem with the episode, that I think it was already way too obvious that this guy, the main Rick of this episode, was like the scientist. That was so obvious. That he was like some important guy. And I don't think they connected well enough, him and the Mortys, for him to do that, save them at the end, I think.
The sacrifice at the end, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I still really enjoyed the episode.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the concept.
I really liked the fat Rick.
Yeah.
The Kentucky
KFC,
Fried Chicken. Yeah. I think he was a really enjoyable concept.
I think it was cool to see like the idea of what happens to the Citadel Ricks and Mortys that survive post the season 5 finale, because we got a little bit of that in the beginning of season 6, but we kind of forgot about that, and we refocused to Evil Morty in season 7. But now to see what happened to them, that was really cool.
Yeah, I did like it a lot. I thought it was a very good episode. I just like the problem I think at this point. Oh, Nicola's computer crashed again. I think the problem at this. Oh no, your camera just turned off.
Did it? Why?
I don't know.
I'm so confused. This is so annoying. I don't understand why this is happening.
Anyway, I think it's still like at this point. I think it's too early in the season to do a non-Rick and Morty episode.
Yeah, and something really interesting. We have not got a single Jerry in the season so far.
No Jerry so far. Well, he's always the most like neglected of the Smiths, I think.
I think we will get an episode with him, but not so far.
No, I really think we just need a straight up Rick and Morty adventure. Like
Yeah.
we're 3 episodes into this new season, and I want to see these characters, and we just really haven't.
Yeah, we
like
got
episode 2 of the season was the first episode without Morty in it
yeah.
ever,
Yeah.
and it's like, do something, please.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really that's really interesting. Like I haven't seen I didn't even realize that because we haven't done like just them two. We started to almost in the beginning of the episode, but then they trick us into them changing it. Because I really would have liked to see them on interacting with other Ricks and Mortys, and I thought that would have been cool. And then
we literally haven't seen that
like since season 1 or season 3.
Besides Evil Rick or Evil Morty and Rick Prime, those are different characters. We haven't seen them like against or with any other.
Yeah, really since this kind of like premiere of season 3 where he escapes the Citadel. Because I would have liked to see Rick with some more Ricks that aren't Prime Rick. And then they come back to the end of this episode after, the arcade Morty, bar Morty kind of like just reflecting on what happened through the adventure in the episode. Yeah. It's like, oh, those guys were assholes. And that's like a fun kind of like teaser to end the episode. But, yeah. Aiden, I do really kind of mention this really quickly because I was thinking about Rick and Morty. And so I was looking at Solar Opposites. And I didn't realize this, that they're ending with season 6.
It's done? Or they're doing one more season?
One more season. It's going to end with the next season.
When is that coming out?
July 26th. Because I was thinking about Rick. So, wait.
I'm excited for that, I guess, because Solar Opposites has been super consistently good.
Yeah, and so I feel like that's a pretty fair thing to end on. Even though, I'm just seeing this news. I guess it skipped like regular news because I didn't see that, but apparently it's going to end with season 6 because I was thinking about Rick and Morty and then the other show that's very much like Rick and Morty.
Hey, I'll say 6 seasons is still pretty good.
That's pretty consistent for what it was. And honestly, they really could not increase the Wall storyline for more than another season.
Exactly, yeah. But I think that'll lead to a very natural wrapping up, I think.
Yeah.
Because they've done as much as they could, and I don't think that there's more that they could do. So I think that'll wrap up naturally. Silver Cops could wrap up naturally. Yeah. The hard part is going to be how are they going to wrap up the main characters themselves?
Of the pupa and like taking over the planet and all that stuff. But it's kind of crazy because I've seen now this show since its inception in 2020.
Yeah.
So yeah,
not often that you get to see a decently long running show.
Yeah, 6 seasons. Kind of crazy to think how long it's been running.
6 seasons and a holiday special. That's pretty good.
Like a few holiday specials. They've had Halloween
and the Christmas one.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that really quickly because I guess I saw that. But
okay, I didn't know that.
Wow. And so,
hold on. Are there 2 holiday specials that I straight up haven't seen?
There's they did like a few, I think. There's Christmas.
There's 2 that I haven't. I've never seen these. I haven't seen the Valentine's Day or the second Halloween one. I haven't seen these. When did these come out?
Halloween one was years ago. Anyway, let's talk about. So, who here has seen Phineas and Ferb, the new season?
I haven't seen the new season.
That's me.
I watched the first 3 episodes, and something I really want to say, obviously, when you restart a show, especially a beloved animated show, like after a long time of it's been gone, you do run the risk of what's the point after ending on a pretty strong note, because I think we've seen sort of the negative version of this was unfortunately Futurama kind of have had this negative. We're gonna see. I'm really wondering how the King of the Hill one out. I feel like that works maybe a little bit more for the concept it's going for, because especially I didn't end on like the most like definitive note the way that Futurama did, but Phineas and Ferb did.
Phineas and Ferb ended on a definitive note. Everyone was put in their pockets that they ended up in. It was a good ending. And then they made Milo Murphy, which they came back. They had a Phineas and Ferb crossover episode, but it didn't intrude on them, but did change a lot of Doofenshmirtz, and expanded on his good guy stuff, and he's gonna be Professor Time and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they made the season 5, and it all gets thrown out the window. And we're just back.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because obviously the idea of Phineas and Ferb is that it's not a very plot heavy show. Every episode is like the same, which is ultimately commenting on shows before Phineas and Ferb, where all the anime shows were the same. It's kind of like a meta commentary on animation itself and like the idea of like those sitcom episodes. But then over its run, it did develop small storylines and small like plottier episodes. And this season, I'm gonna be honest, I think they've realized they can't, especially in a streaming age, because they used to be on Disney XD and Disney Channel. They've realized in a streaming age, they cannot do this formula of having just the same episode. So at least for what I've seen in these first 3 episodes, even though I would say this season overall has kind of like dropped a lot of like, it's kind of like main stuff. Like Doofenshmirtz went straight back to being a villain right after he was probably, at least from what I remember, he ended up being like working for Alka, but then he went
he works for Alka
Files.
but then he just went back.
And then he'd like and then he's and then he's like Mr. Time and creates time travel and all that shit, and is supposed to be like super mega good and important in Milo Murphy,
which
and
is
none
kind
of
a sad regression of the character. I'm going to be honest, even though I feel like I understand why they want to get back to the status quo, Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, same with like Candace. Her whole thing at the end was like, yeah, I you guys, I'm not going to bust you anymore.
But
I don't know.
I feel like in order to bring it back, it does make the show this season kind of feel a bit like useless in a way.
Yeah.
But I feel like they do some interesting things with some of the characters. Like they make Candace have a therapist, which is kind of a cool kind of like alternate way.
That's that episode specifically.
Yeah,
though.
but just the idea of like doing new types of like playing with the formula.
They definitely. Yeah, they do. That's something I've known because I finished the season, or what is out right now, which is the first 10 episodes. I think there's like 3 more later releasing this month and next month.
They should not have done a chunk release of the show.
Obviously, no one likes batch release.
I think this definitely a show that has the same. I don't want to say repetitive in like a bad way, but like formulaic is like if you try binging it. It kind of gets annoying just seeing it like that. But when you have it like week to week, it's a lot more just like a lot more understandable. Because like I was trying to like binge through all of it, and I'm like, okay, well, I feel like if I just like had 1 episode a week, I'd be like, oh wow, I just want to go watch my.
I watched like 1 to 2 episodes a day, and that works pretty well for me.
Yeah, because it relies on its predictability. No matter what, this is what's going to happen. Candace is not going to be able to bust the guys because something's always going to happen.
And it's like, what's going to happen though?
What's
the idea we're doing?
It's the how's it going to work out? What's the innator? What's the machine? What's sort of the bits in the episode? What's like little things? But overall, we always know the ending. We just gotta get to it,
Yeah. I want to say, because I finished it, I do really want to talk about this week while all the thoughts are fresh in my mind. So I'm going to try and like not like spoil major things for you guys, but I do want to talk about it.
If you feel necessary to say, it's not like the biggest, I'm not like, I wouldn't.
No, it doesn't fucking matter.
No, yeah. But if you want to talk about it, you can talk about it.
Yeah, I want to say the first episode is a very good return.
I would say that too, like the idea of just like using the mom as the central sort of device where Candace has to come in. It felt like a different sort of form of the narrative that they're playing with.
Yeah, starting like the first episode not being exactly what it is. Like the episode ends on Linda walking out and getting zapped by Doofenshmirtz. And then the second segment is just part 2 of it. And I think that's a very good way to start it by subverting expectations immediately.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to start it. And I think the way that they do it, like they're like, Like Candace is like, they built 5 inventions. How are they ever gonna get rid of? And then it comes to Doofenshmirtz, it's like, my innator has an attachment that shoots 5 lasers at once. And it's
that was
very
really
funny.
good.
I'll say, like, over the whole season, the writing is still pretty consistent. It's leaned a lot further into the like streaming age humor and millennial humor because that's their audience. Their audience isn't kids. It's us. It's 20 to 30-year-old people who watched the show as a kid.
I'm gonna be honest, did you guys hear kind of the age in the voices a bit?
It was like that in Candace Against the Universe. I think like Ashley Tisdale, Doofenshmirtz, I think they're very consistent. I think Buford's voice is very consistent, but someone like Baljeet, Isabella,
I felt a bit.
I thought
Vincent
Jeremy
Marcella
felt weird when
because
the
they
one came out
recast him.
Yeah.
He was recast. I think Stacy's voice is a little weird. Carl's voice is a little weird. I don't know. I think the already adult actors are good, but like everyone else, I don't know. I thought the voices was fine.
Yeah.
I think Buford was recording his stuff. The actor for Buford was recording his stuff on like a mic in the bathroom because all of his stuff sounds different. Like recorded on some like different software. It feels so much like softer and like less spoken than he should be.
And,
like I've just like I noticed it like halfway through. I'm like he's too quiet. This is the loud big guy, and he's just like talking too softly. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I think the first episode was a very good return to form. But I do want to say, going forward, they are not creative enough to warrant this new season. Like literally, it's like, all right, let's make a submarine. All right, let's make a pogo. All right, let's make lacrosse. Okay, let's make a Zaya. Okay, let's do a movie theater. Okay, let's literally not do anything. Like they don't have good ideas anymore.
Yeah.
Which is like, you made the show for so long, but it's like we waited for so long to like get creative ideas, and we're not like getting the most creative ideas.
I would have rather just like to see a new story from Dan Povenmire, like a new.
Well, yeah, he did that. It's called He's called Hamster and Gretel.
I haven't seen that, but like I don't know, something for like the streaming age.
That's called Hamster and Gretel. It just ended this year as 2 seasons.
Have you seen it?
No, I've not seen it. I've not seen that one.
I'm out.
But it exists.
Okay. Yeah, no, I thought it was like, so I might continue watching like a few episodes here and there, but it was nothing like that was calling to me, that required my attention.
Yeah, I think like, because I watched the whole thing, they waste so many episodes. So many episodes are wasted on concepts that I did not care about. One of the episodes is about Carl working all of his jobs. One episode is about Stacy covering for Perry. There's an episode about one of the inventions rolling away and finding love. And it's like, I want to see Phineas and Ferb. Where are they? There's an episode where like they're at the vet with Perry, and like they do like Doofenshmirtz has his thing, and like Isabella and Buford and Baljeet are all like, oh, what do we do without him? And then like Phineas and Ferb are like just dicking around at the vet. There's a whole Fireside Girls episode that was hella annoying. I don't like any of those characters, and it was all about them being annoying. And it's like, stop making up. There's an entire episode without Doofenshmirtz, and it's some knockoff hillbilly Doofenshmirtz, and it's like, this is the penultimate episode right now. Just make an episode that's like normal. You're trying too many different things.
Yeah. No, it just feels like it makes me wonder what's the merit of the season, and like what was kind of the point. But it's kind of like repeating more of the Futurama kind of like way of doing it.
It's nowhere near as bad as Futurama did, though.
Yeah.
because Futurama just had episodes that sucked. And it was so inconsistent, whereas Phineas and Ferb has been, the writing is still very consistent. There's definitely some like mandated jokes that they've needed to squeeze in there. Like there is a episode with with flossing in 2025. There's flossing.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, and I got to the screaming goat joke. It was not worth it.
What
There
the
is a
fuck is
there
this
is a
conception of screaming goats on the culture?
And I know that like Dan Povenmire and Swampy Marsh and Olivia Olson are better than this. I know they are better than this because they're in so many. They do so much better things. I think that a lot of the stuff has also been like just mandated.
Don't understand screaming goats as a cultural.
I don't either. I don't either. One thing that the show does very well is referencing the old stuff without it being too overbearing. Like the therapist episode early that you were talking about. The therapist
I love that line. I love that line.
Doofenshmirtz is at therapy, and the therapist is like, I think the platypus is representing whatever's keeping you down, and Doofenshmirtz is like, I'm not speaking metaphorically. And those are both lines from Platypus Controlling Me, like one of the more famous songs from the show. And we have in later episodes, we have the nickel gag return from the movie, like the it's weird that it happened twice or whatever. Yeah. And we get that joke like 3 times, and it's a very funny joke every time because they use it in different ways. So all the callbacks have been good. The animation, I don't know what happened. They're like animating with Flash. It's terrible.
I didn't notice like a big difference.
It's bad. I'm noticing a lot of just like animation, like just how did that happen?
It looks like I remember their eyebrows were more definitive in this.
The line art again has been very inconsistent. It was inconsistent in like here, I'm sending a screenshot that this is just like one scene. Like look at the screenshot I sent. We could put it on screen, but just like the difference of Doofenshmirtz versus everything else makes like this like scene super jarring.
Yeah,
like,
his line art is a lot thinner.
This looks like something that someone made in Photoshop rather than something that someone was animated. And there are so many scenes where I've like seen the main characters standing in their like default, like the default poses. Like if you Google search Doofenshmirtz PNG, the first PNG is going to be him like on Google. And I've seen him in that pose multiple times. Just the reference, like they just copied it off the character sheet and put him in there. And it's like, you can use the character sheet and do that. But the amount of times that I saw him just doing that was like, they did not give the animation team enough budget. Because sometimes the animation just all of a sudden is like super duper fluid and beautiful. And then it like becomes very noticeable when it's not fluid that it's just really bad. Like it's almost like old Scooby-Doo where it's like like Phineas's head through his neck. They like have the pieces of it, and his like neck doesn't like clearly connect to his torso and is just like layered on there so he could do all the head stuff separate from the body stuff.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a shame kind of when that happens. Like it's like you want the same consistent kind of quality that you get, and so if you're not getting it, at least story wise, you want more of a animation wise, but it doesn't seem to be like fully giving on either front.
Yeah, I don't know. And then I want to say two other things, but they're very spoilery, and I will kind of want to avoid them.
I think we're gonna finish. We're gonna.
Yeah, we're
finish
basically. I don't have anything else to talk about. So.
Does anybody have anything else before we can finish with Mountainhead? Or
I have one more thing, I guess.
Yeah.
The Switch 2.
Yo. I also have the Switch 2. However, I'm not bringing it on podcast to brag about it.
This isn't a brag. It's out, and this is my review. It's
Wow.
It's the Switch 2.
Tear
Anyway,
the Joy-Cons off just right now. Just
Yeah, just
rip them off.
Let's do a
Actually-
live tear down of the Switch 2.
Like that
Actually,
one guy.
I do have a real thing I want to talk about. So the other day, I was gonna go to the grocery store, and so I got in my car. I'm parked on the curb or on the side of the road. I got in my car and I see a kid, probably 9 to 10, on an electric scooter in the middle of the road, no helmet on. And I see him and I say, okay, I'm gonna let him go past me. Because if I pull out now, I'm gonna hit him, so he can go past me. So he goes past me. He goes like maybe 10, 20 feet in front of me. I put on my blinker and I pull up from the curb. I can't be going more than 5 miles per. And then he just takes a sharp right turn and I almost hit him because he is not paying attention to where he's going.
You know what's even worse than that? When you have somebody that is paying attention and is just stupid. So one time I turned, so there's like a street to my house and I was going down that street and there was a guy on the other side of the street going on his bike down like this.
Yeah.
And then at the last second, he swerves in front of me. I slam on my brakes and he starts shouting at me from his bike. He says, "Why are you slamming on your brakes?" I'm like, I would have hit you if you didn't go in front of me at the last second. You're like, you're trying to get hit. What are you doing? How is this in any world my fault?
Just went in front of me and I slammed on my brakes. I wasn't going very fast, so I pretty much just stopped pretty instantly. But he also stopped and stared at me and then went back and went onto the sidewalk and kept going. 2 hours later, a policeman is at my front door asking me about the situation.
Because you hit the kid, clearly. Obviously, you hit the kid.
So he shows up, he says, "Are you Aiden?" And I'm like, yes.
He wanted an autograph. He's a fan of the podcast.
He's a fan of the podcast.
He knew who you were, yeah.
He said, earlier today, a father and son came into the station and said that you almost hit his kid.
Kid was probably getting lunch with his dad and was like, it's kind of crazy today. A car was backing out and almost hit me. And the dad was like, what? Who was it?
I wasn't backing out. I was in the road and he pulls in front.
How did they find you? How did...
This is the most fucking confusing part. As entitled as it is that they went to the police and reported me for his kid being dumb as fuck. The only way they could have gotten my car is if they came back. If that kid came with his dad back to where I was parked and they found my car and took my license plate and then went to the police station.
It's just like their neighbors.
Police, by the way, they went in person to report that kid was being a dumb fuck. Not.
What happened next?
I told the police what happened, what I just told you guys, and he said, "Okay, great. By the way, you're not in trouble at all. Just wanted to know your side of the story." This, I don't know what,
this fucking
either
cop.
it was either the
And
kid
then he asked for the autograph, right?
and then he asked for the autograph, yeah. But either the kid told his dad, "Hey, I almost hit by a car." And then the dad went into panic mode, being an entitled Palo Alto parent that he is, and went to the police. Or the kid was like, "Dad, I almost got hit by a car. Let's fuck this guy over."
Get this guy. Hey,
Even though this 9-year-old was breaking at least 3 laws, he decided to go to the police to report me.
It's those
For
Gen Alpha
his-
guys. You
what
gotta
if they
look
had
out for them.
father-son bonding over getting your ass?
Exactly. What if you
He
thought
was
about
too
that?
busy.
The thing that
Too busy on
confuses me the
Italian
most.
brain rot.
The thing that confuses me the most as someone who has biked before and has also almost been hit by a car, backing out or pulling off of a curb because of my own stupidity, is why would you tell your parents? Because I would just get in trouble if I told my parents.
Yeah. Honestly, and also this is such an effort to go to the police about this.
Right? The idea of them saying, all right, my kid almost got hit by a car. Let's go back to where he almost got hit by a car. Find the car, then go to the police. And what are they going to do about their kid being stupid?
Well, how did the police know that you weren't in trouble? Like how? Because doesn't it require more?
They didn't do anything. What did they tell the police? They went to the police and said, "Hey, this guy almost hit my kid with their car." That's not anything. That's not anything.
We gotta roll the tape, check the camera, parking lot footage, or whatever it was.
That's why you need a dash cam. I think you should buy a dash cam.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Not only just so that you can get this for course, but also because like it would make really good content if we could just post like stupid people.
Yeah.
For the Celsius
Live
production.
Celsius pod dash cam footage.
Exactly. Live. Just have it streaming 24/7.
Especially for the road trip that we're doing. You know, we gotta get
Eventually.
all of us.
Which is
Yeah.
probably not happening.
Anything else anybody wants to say before we end?
I just needed to say that. So we're gonna talk about Mountainhead now, right? Uri?
So I am
No,
a
we're
big
gonna
fan.
skip Mountainhead. It's it's too late. We gotta end for the night.
No, it's from 2025. We have to talk about it.
No, I think
think
we're
that-
gonna save it for next week.
No, Beck, because if we save it for next week, then that means you're a bitch.
I think back when
Damn
I
it!
played,
I don't want to be a bitch. Yeah,
It's not even that late back.
Okay,
You'll be
so-
fine.
essentially, I'm a really big fan of Succession, and it's made by Jesse Armstrong. And so after Succession ended, he worked on this TV movie for HBO Max called Mountainhead. And, I thought it was pretty smart because, I like Jesse Armstrong. But the thing is, what worried about me that he kind of just went back to his bread and butter, tech CEO guys. Beck, imagine if 4 Lucas Matsons just talked to each other for an entire movie.
That kind of sounds boring.
Unfortunately, because, and I would agree, even though I like this kind of stuff, it just wasn't narratively fulfilling. Because the thing about Succession, Beck, is that was a family drama at its core, and so it's missing that element of fun. Because you got the characters talking like Succession characters, but you got none of the cool, the interesting family drama. And so
it doesn't have any of the emotion.
It doesn't have any
It
emotion.
is, they are so stale of characters. It's like the way to describe them is one of them's a pushover, one of them is old, one of them is Elon Musk, and then the other one is guys, maybe we shouldn't do this.
But
And
and
it's
it's supposed to be a very heavy sort of critique about AI and sort of these sort of tech CEOs running the world. Because essentially what a lot of the movie is, Beck, and it kind of goes kind of fucking crazy near the end of the movie. It's so should we just take over the world? And okay, you take Argentina, you take
Average
That's
person
okay,
after getting the summer
through the
internship.
movie. That is halfway through the movie. The first half of the movie is just oh, I'm 5 billion. AI,
Oh, you also watched this, Aiden?
fake AI,
You just
real
noticed,
AI.
Beck?
Israel, Palestine, AI, Snoopy with a big fat cock.
And
That's
it-
the
it-
first half
it's
of the
just
movie.
them talking
And the
about their
second half of,
It's just
Yeah.
them talking about their net worths. And Beck, I'm really shocked that Aiden watched this because this is not Aiden movie at all.
Got it.
Yeah.
But
This Aiden guy doesn't know the difference between Severance and Succession, yet he watched this movie.
I watched it because I felt bad that we didn't watch the Phoenician Scheme with Uri. So I was like, let's watch a movie that Uri watched.
Without Uri again.
but the thing is,
Mountainhead, because I said, oh, the description says a dark comedy with Steve Carell and Jason Schwartzman sounds enjoyable. Sounds pretty
How
pretty
pleasurable.
knee slapping. And it was so bad.
but Beck, and then it goes to a crazy thing where one of the guys was like, and I don't think we should do this. They're just should we kill him? I mean, not kill him, but
Kill that guy.
This guy.
should we
that
just
guy.
kill him? And so then they're like,
Let's just kill that guy.
and I'm shocked because
He thinks that AI is bad, and we think that AI is good. So
Kill
we
that
should
guy.
kill him. And then that's the best part of the movie is when they're trying to figure out how to kill.
They just
fuck
try
it
to
up
figure out how to kill him.
magnificently.
But you know how in Succession, whenever they said like kill a guy, we always knew that to be like sort of metaphorical. Like they don't actually.
Yeah, I know they never actually do anything illegal.
But in here they literally actually mean kill a guy, which I thought was crazy. I really thought they meant like sort of we'll kill him like socially in the press. But then it evolved.
That's what they meant. That's what they meant at first, and then the Elon Musk crazy guy shows up and he's like, "Oh, we should kill him." And then Steve Carell is like, "You know what? Actually, yeah, let's just kill him."
So they trap him in a sauna and like they pour gasoline in there and they're like, "Should we light it? We're gonna light it if you don't do this."
Some kind of lethal amount of gasoline.
And then they do so many like backstabs and crossovers, like, we're just guys, and then like they're just like, and then they end up like you assume after this whole ordeal the guy would never be friends again with the guys. But they're all
the next morning they straight up all eat breakfast together and they give each other when they leave. And it's like none of them have any care in the world. None of them give a shit. Like Beck, there's a scene where the like Elon Musk guy's AI makes a deep fake of like the government killing people, and then they go to war and 400 people burn alive, and he's like,
that sucks.
Oh yeah, this is something throughout the entire movie. It's the backdrop is like these guys are like these like big tech CEO
they're
guys.
so rich that nothing matters, but like everything that happens in the background and on the news is like they are literally Hitler. They are all Hitler. They kill at least 1 million people over the course of the movie and cause at least 5 different wars for like 8 different countries.
And the entire movie is like, these mass executions, they're all just deep fake AI. They're all just deep fake. They're not real.
Yeah.
And like the point of the movie is like, billionaires are bad and AI is bad. But it's like
it doesn't do it in a refreshing way. It doesn't do it
in a refreshing way. It does it in an annoying way where it's like, I think this movie was made by billionaires trying to sympathize with people who are not billionaires.
Unfortunately, I think it's a miss from Jesse Armstrong where Succession really tried to do something fresh with the idea. This is just a pale imitation of that, and I feel like he needs another sort of genre to work in, because this one unfortunately just felt like just a pale like restock of the same story that I've already seen and I already really like, but this is just not enough. Because what was mentioned was I didn't feel like what's great about Succession is that we actually, despite their hatred, we felt love between the family members at points.
100%, especially like in the last episode when all of them actually like are working together, we can tell all of them like each other.
Yeah, at least some emotions, and that's why it's so gut wrenching at the end of the show when they do separate, But here, you don't feel the love in the friend group, and that ruins it. And like, these guys are like, I know it's the point, but like, I do like this line. There's like, there's 8 billion people out there, but are any of them as real as us 4? And that's kind of like,
they don't understand how hard it is to be a billionaire,
But guys, we have to do our own Mountainhead. There's 4 characters here. We'll do our own Mountainhead.
We should do that, yeah.
I'll be the Jason Schwartzman. Also, I want to point out before we move on from this topic, the cinematography in this movie is filmed like a mockumentary.
That's how Succession was filmed.
Yeah, but this is you keep comparing it to Succession just because it has the same director. This is not Succession though. Yeah. This is its own thing, and the cinematography sucks.
I like the cinematography of Succession.
Okay, but this isn't Succession. Remember that.
If it's like that, then I think
terrible. No, because it's terrible. It's bad in this movie. The lighting is bad. The cinematography is bad. This movie is just bad.
I probably liked it a little bit more than Aiden, but I would agree it was still
I give
not
it half a star. I straight up did not like this movie.
But yeah. So, anyone have anything remaining, or can we recommend?
I think we can recommend.
I think we just recommend something at this point.
I say you should watch Odessa.
I think you should watch Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4.
I think you should play 1 and 2, which are still free, I think.
They are still free, but you should just buy the whole game and support
Buy the
Toby
whole
Fox.
game.
I'm gonna
Aiden
buy it
has already
twice.
bought 3 copies.
I think Toby
I bought
Fox
one
has got
copy
the
and we'll buy
20th
another one
money
soon.
from Undertale, and in fact, we should actually kill him.
I don't think we should do that because
I think
want,
Nicola
want
really
5,
does
6,
not want us talking about Chapter 5.
The weather,
so.
guys, since we didn't mention.
It's 61
We did mention
degrees.
it,
We
61
looked at
degrees.
it.
Did we-
What is it at New York, though?
57
What is
in
it?
Menlo.
What is,
Why is it 57 now? How did this happen?
but what is it? Because the sunset?
Fine.
What is it in
Weather
New York,
doesn't
though, where
change.
you are? Where is it? What is it in New York?
I'm not in New York.
Yeah, where
You're in New York right now.
New
Where
York.
is it?
That's why you didn't see the Phoenician Scheme.
It's also
Yeah.
57 in Ithaca.
Nice.
Okay.
Guys, remember butts, beers, and bellies always use Celsius.
Dude, fuck with
I
2
just don't think that's what it is.